Hey there, positive managers! Welcome to Module 3, where I'll show you how to turn the necessary evil that's the annual performance review into a positively managing tool, regardless of the system your organization uses. Great performance evaluations have three things in common. They contain no surprises, they're employee-driven, and they focus ahead. If you can find a way to incorporate these three guidelines into whatever system your organization uses, you'll give both yourself and your employees a more positive experience and increase the engagement of your team. Let's look at each element individually. Eliminating surprises is the most critical element. How do you do this? Follow this rule. If it wasn't previously discussed with the employee, it's not in the annual review. Even success can't be a year-end surprise. Let's drill down. Before you consider your annual evaluation of the employee ready to go, ask yourself whether every single issue mentioned has been previously discussed with the employee. The annual review should only be a summary of the previous discussions you've had with the employee over the rating period. This is not the time to solve the employee's performance issues. Those should have been addressed over time and may still need to be worked on. Problems and concerns should have been addressed as soon as they occurred. This annual review meeting is just to cover how it all turned out. And if the problem was previously discussed and resolved, it should be the effective resolution, not the problem that's noted in the review. Otherwise, you're causing the employee to take a second hit for something they resolved, and that is a big engagement killer. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's not, and few managers accomplish it, even with the best of intentions. But you can do this. And like I said, even success can't be a year-end surprise. Whenever an employee demonstrates success, you should recognize it at the time it occurs. Trust is enhanced when specific feedback is a regular part of the work environment. Following this rule should lead to a more positive year-end discussion, which leads to the second guideline, that the discussion is employee-driven. The employee should spend at least as much time talking during the annual review as you, the manager, does. Make sure you've provided your evaluation to the employee enough ahead of time to allow them to process it. Never, ever give it to them cold in the meeting. Allowing the employee to see the review prior to the meeting will give them time to put thought into their response, and their response will give you a great sense of how they perceive themselves. During the meeting itself, rather than review the document with the employee, ask them for their feedback on the document. Only after the employee has shared his or her perspective should you share your opinions about the employee's performance. By using this approach, you'll discover that the employee will often highlight all of the issues you were planning to discuss. However, since the information came from the employee instead of you, he or she will feel an increased sense of ownership in that information. And regardless of the form you're both required to use, ask the employee the following questions ahead of time and have them arrive with the answers. What were your top 3 accomplishments this past year? What were your top 3 challenges this past year? What new challenges or goals would you like to pursue this next year? What can the organization or I do to support you in the future? Discussing the answers to these questions will allow the employee to elaborate on their year and really help you to understand if you've been successful in managing them over the review period. You need to do a lot of listening and keep asking leading questions to really get the employee to open up before moving on to the next question. And that will lead the discussion toward the upcoming year, which is the third guideline. Recapping the highlights of an employee's performance is fine, but the most valuable time is spent talking about the future. Use a good portion of the meeting to plan future performance goals, to clarify expectations, and to create a sense of excitement about what lies ahead. Once your employees have experienced an annual review built around these 3 guidelines, all but the most unsuccessful will no longer dread them, and this goes for you as well. How you manage performance determines the success of your organization. So I've now helped you get the most out of your performance review system. However, weekly one-on-ones are at the heart of good management and are where you'll really use the tips and tools you're learning so that you can create a high-performance work environment with successful and engaged employees. If you master the one-on-one, you're well on your way to becoming a highly effective, positive manager of people. So get ready for next week, where I'll discuss why you may be unknowingly killing employee engagement by just trying to be fair.